Now I am going to install this threaded bottom bracket with just a little bit of grease. Okay, I already went over in the last video the different things that can be used and that are no problem whatsoever. So remember what we said before, that in order to install the bottom bracket correctly, we need to come up over the top toward the rear wheel. So we're turning it in the direction of the rear wheel to tighten it. And I'm just going to screw this one in here right away. Now, some people are going to ask about chasing and facing. Chasing, yes. Facing, generally not needed unless the frame is brand new. It is not something you're going to want to do every time, because when you face it, you're taking material off the face of the bottom bracket shell, and if you're taking material off the face of the bottom bracket shell repeatedly, eventually it's not going to be 73 millimeters anymore if it's a mountain bike, or you know what I mean. We're going to reduce the amount of meat we have, and we don't want to do that. And you see how easy this is screwing in here right now. I don't need to use the tool to screw this in. This is absolutely extremely important, that it has to be free spinning when you're putting it in the frame initially. If you're trying to screw it in, you can't screw it in by hand, and you absolutely have to put a tool in it, and it's only about halfway in. Stop. Your frame needs to be chased, okay, properly. It has to be, because when you start doing it, it's going to strip threads. If it's an aluminum frame or aluminum inserts like this, it will just absolutely wreak havoc. Do not do that. Okay, so you should have a nice, easy pressure on it, just like that. We're going to snug it down just like that, and we're going to torque it in a second. And there we go. We can just go ahead and snug it down just like that. We're going to come in on top with the torque wrench to the 35 to 40 Newton meters. But right now I want to talk about spacers. All right. There are so many setups and so many applications nowadays with different spacers for this and that and all this kind of stuff. Really, you need to consult the manufacturer's guidelines, the crank manufacturer's guidelines on what kind of spacer setup to use, because there are just so many different setups. It would be hard for me to tell you something now that's fast and loose. Those days are long gone. Refer to those materials. So let's torque this thing right now. Set my torque wrench to 40 Newton meters, and remember, we're turning this one to the left because it is left-hand thread. And there's a couple ways to go about this. I like to actually brace my arm across the bike like this, and I like to get a good solid torque on it like that. See? The reason I'm doing that is because if you're up here doing this, you're getting deflection. Okay, you're getting deflection. That is going to throw off the torque value. Okay, any movement here that's extra is throwing off the torque value. So I like to brace it like that. There'll be other ways to do it, but when you're working in a stand, this just makes it easy to do. And like I said, I'm showing you guys step by step here because I don't want to misrepresent any of this. It's important to get it correct. We'll talk about torque wrenches in another video, but you need to send them off and have them calibrated on occasion, and use a good quality one. This happens to be Snap-on. Doesn't have to be that fancy. Park Tool makes a good one as well. Alright, so get asked about this a lot. Can I use grease on there? Use grease to your heart's content, my friend. You can grease it up all you like. I like to do it. Kind of makes everything kind of gel, get together, you know, be real smooth. And in just a second here, we are going to install the crank. You've seen us do that a lot in separate videos, especially for Shimano. Extremely extremely popular crankset. A few pitfalls. We have videos on those. Highly recommend them to you to check those out. So let's install the crank right now. Okay, so the crankset is now properly preloaded. You guys who have seen our videos before, I was using my finger method. You guys we'll put a link to that in the description. And here's the payoff. And now these are going to sweeten up a little bit as you ride it more and more, but this is the kind of spin you should get when you're all done. So visit bbinfinite.com, check us out on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram.